said the village is responsible.
Just saying.
It said the village is.
Well, the village has the equipment to do that.
Well, see, this is the bubble that's been here for a long time. It's, since I started here, if we repaired a service, there was no charge. If we put a new service in, there was a charge. But from everything I've been told, we were supposed to be charging right along, but it was one of them things that, okay, it didn't get done. So here we've come to this point to where, okay, we're saying, okay, it's your service, it's your responsibility. We can fix it. This is a question I guess I've got for Glenn. I guess what Mike says, I got a service leaking right now. Lady wants to know if she can do it herself. And the way the water law states, it's her service. If they want to dig it up and have us come over and shut it off so they can repair it and do the repair and have us come, now do we charge to shut the water on and off?
We don't charge to turn off, but we charge to turn back on.
So
What happens if they have their own key to shut it off themselves?
that's not,
No, they can't do that.
No, that's a no-no.
Theft of service.
Well,
What
is it that, is it that,
They're paying for the service already.
Is it
I'll
that-
fix the line.
big of a deal to turn a service on, that if they get it fixed, we gotta charge them?
It's not a problem. I don't have a problem at all. I mean, I'll go do it. If someone wants to shut the service off, I don't care what time of day we'll go turn it back on. What I'm saying is, technically, when we shut a service off, it says we're supposed to charge to turn it back on. But if somebody's trying to fix a leak, and I know how that galvanized line is at that particular place, you may think you have it fixed, you turn it back on and start leaking again. If they gotta dig further, what I'm saying is, do we waive that for service repair?
That's a good reason for the village to keep doing it.
Well,
They always
What
have.
about the curb box?
This is-
You take care of your lines and you get them the way you want them and you put them in there.
This is the reason I brought up here, I think a couple meetings ago, that we ought to do like a $5 service charge a quarter to the residents, and then we are responsible to the meter. And it just to be
Can't,
a
the New York
maintenance
State
fee.
law has it stated that the resident is owned up to it until the curb box, just like what we gave as far as the example that
You know,
if you build a house, the village doesn't come in and put in the water lines. You do, you have your contractor do it. We turn the water on and off, because we as the village own the water.
so you're telling me, Mr. Mossberg, to go buy insurance, to have insurance to cover it, but we can't charge them $5 a quarter for a
Well, that insurance
service.
doesn't exist yet, that's why. When it comes up, and New York, Rural Water Authority has that, and they offer that, then that's something we can look into. But at this point in time, it's just been discussion, it hasn't been implemented anywhere yet.
I thought we could instill it, that's what we were.
I thought we could have a
Jay said,
maintenance.
you said that we
We
could do our own
discussed it, but
service.
you'd have to get permission from each landowner to enter their property to do the
Yeah.
repairs.
Right,
So in order, you'd have to get some critical mass. You'd get a few people who'd sign on to the service, and when they sign on, you have to get permission from them, so they'd have to grant a license for the village to enter the property and repair the line. But if somebody's line breaks and they're not somebody who signed on to the service, they'll say, okay, well, fine, I'll sign on to it now. We haven't been paying it the last 4 quarters. So you have to establish some type of a standard that prevents people from leaching on only when they get problems.
right.
And making sure you always have the permission slip, essentially, before you enter private property without their permission.
So I think that if you sent out a letter, I'd say 7/8 of the village would sign on to it at a charge of $20 a year.
Yeah, it's not actually the hard.
I know I had a
All
resident,
property.
That's why I went with the water bill, because of, we said we were gonna implement this afterwards.
The insurance, not us taking responsibility to
said
pay
we
for,
No,
not for us to
no, we
take
said
on
we would.
responsibility to
No,
pay for
maintenance
everything.
fee.
We were talking about the insurance.
It was about the insurance.
And we said we could do that on our level, that's what we were talking about, and Jay said he was supposed to look into it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
With our own insurance company.
No,
No, it would be
we could charge
village
our own
provided
maintenance fee.
service.
Oh, it's a maintenance fee.
It's maintenance fee.
It's $5 a quarter, everybody pays it, it generates, what we figure out, like $8,000 a year?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like John said they only fix like 3 or 4 a year, so we would actually make a
Enough to
little money.
maintain.
I
it.
didn't think we could make a profit.
Well, it
it's-
wouldn't be part of the maintenance fee, it would just go into the water fund as a maintenance fee, it would sit in there,
They'll
so,
cap it out. And
you
how,
know what I mean?
There's administration of the water department that's probably being paid for from the village as a whole, so when you say you can't make a profit, you can't make a profit as a whole system.
Yeah,
You can have one piece of the system that makes a profit that helps run the rest of the water system. That is allowed.
But we did discuss that.
So,
I know.
Going in on our
That's
level.
something that we need to.
yeah.
I had a resident,
Rose,
I had
can
a
you-
resident tell me that when he found out that we were not responsible to the meter, he told me that I want my meter taken out of my house, you can put it out to the curb where it belongs, if I'm not, if you're, you know what I mean?
Well, I knew this was coming, I mean, this is.
That's a rational logic there, though.
Well,
They
it's-
don't even wanna have a meter in their house.
Well, what's coming worse than that is you let people put their water supply line in, they're gonna go around the meter. And then you're not gonna get
Well,
paid for the water.
you can't put in
It's
your own
us.
water supply, that's covered underneath the water law. If they do, that has to be stopped immediately. I mean, there could be severe fines or penalties
Well, yeah,
for
but
that.
how you gonna know? If I dig up my water line and if I'm responsible from the curb, I put new water line in, you put the meter on there, you don't know that I got a junction out here and go around the meter. Anybody that's gonna dig a water,
So we gotta start watching, yeah.
Well,
Rose, can you,
It'll be the
put
first
that
time
on the
since
agenda
you've done.
for the, meeting in October? That, we will discuss the maintenance fee, as a possible addendum to the water law?
I guess I got one more thing, Daniel.
Yes.
When you were on campaign, you were saying that you wanted to do things for the village and make it better for the village and help the people. This changing the water system like this does not help the people.
no.
And you not letting the people use the senior citizen building down there does not help the people. So why don't you make that accessible for the people that wanna use it? And why don't you look at this water law you're putting in and make it better for the people? The village has the equipment to do it. They've got the equipment to thaw the lines. If you start bringing everybody in to do that, you're gonna mess up more than you can even think of, like.
But with the, and you're absolutely right, those are exactly the statements that I made and that I hold myself accountable to. In regards to the water, we've had people in the past, there have been many issues with water, especially during the winter time, of course, with freezes. And so, with the time that it costs our DPW, I've known in the past that superintendents have told individuals to have your water trickle so that it doesn't freeze.
You know?
They ignore the advice that they were given, and then their water freezes. And then guess who has to go and tear it up in the middle of the night and work 4, 5, 6 hours in the cold to take care of it is our guys. And so, in regards to that though, and in regards to water, I mean, water is a huge, huge part in regards to our budget for what it covers in regards to employees and the service itself. And would like to think that, I mean, we've all discussed it and it was passed unanimously. Nobody came to the water hearing to give an issue or see what they thought was inaccurate or was a concern. Was that, you know, that they're held responsible to this. If there is an issue, we'll come in, but you're gonna have to pay for that. And the simple logic that was used for that part of the water law was, even myself last year, or this past winter I should say, probably around January, February when it got really cold, our water almost froze up on the hill. And that's, you know, for our water to freeze on a hill and it's constantly trickling through. Well, okay then. And anyways, we just had our water running, you know, just had it trickling so that we avoid any type of situation. I mean, $3 is something, a cent, whatever cents for 1,000 gallons overuse. I mean, trickling water doesn't increase someone's bill, even if it's
No.
for each single
I
month.
understand some of these people you're talking about, or one of them anyway, was in Florida one winter. So they can't come back here to
Right.
turn the water on, so.
Right. In regards to the senior citizens building, which is actually something up next that we're going to talk about with Mr. Brucker, I did speak with Mr. Brucker. The concern though was the asbestos, and the concern was the health of the individuals being in there. Granted, you know, mostly it's the senior citizens that use it, and that's, you know, logic says, I mean, I doubt that they're going to be affected by asbestos, but it could, you know, I mean, especially with so many being 80 years old or anything like that. However, though, it's still a health hazard, and the village is still held liable. And that's exactly what we're going to be discussing shortly, is the senior citizen building, so that it's still a service that we provide to them and a place to gather and see what makes logical sense. Is it should we invest in it and fix it? I mean, because it's a heck of a expense for the village to utilize, to pay for. Or would it make more sense to sell the building? And maybe there'd be a better place for the Let's Travel Club to go to. You know, I know that they're meeting at the Roberts Memorial right now. You know, not a place that could possibly be of good use would be down on Dale Drive, that new Baptist church. I guess a group of Baptists that is buying that church, and maybe seeing if the village can negotiate. You know, anytime that they have a meeting, we'll contribute $50 for that month to you. It will pay a fee of whatever, because it's flat parking. It's not uphill or downhill. I mean, that building. I mean, if somebody 80 years old has bad knees or whatever, those stairs aren't that great to go up.
No, it's a hard spot.
And honestly, the building itself, as far as heating and all of that, we could easily dump a lot of money into it. Where possibly it might be better off to put the money and invest the money into our historical building, which needs a lot of work. Needs a new furnace or hot water tank or something. It needs a lot. And so those are things that we're going to discuss. But I want you to know.
As long as you're working on it.
Yes,
all I
it's
care.
not being kicked to the curbside, and it's not with everybody's thoughts. You know, it's what's best for the residents and also the village as well to make it.
One more issue I have. I understand you made a new position in village crew. And I wondered if I could get a job description for that. And I wondered if you advertise for that. It doesn't seem to me like the water treatment job is a full-time job. So I wondered if that person is supposed to be doing something else, or do you have a job description for that?
Yes, we do have a job description for when it was advertised for the position. It clearly states what their duties are, and also that when they're not working water, I mean, water is their main priority. Typically, water is an issue in the winter time, such as water freezes and stuff like that. And also with treating the water going up to the plants or going to the lots. And also, though, the village utilizes that third individual that needs to handle water or sewer.
Is John over that person then, can assign other jobs?
Yes, John is the superintendent of them, yes. He's over all employees of the DPW.
Okay.
Well, the 2 employees, yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. And I answered everything for you?
Pardon me?
I answered everything for you? Let me make sure.
Yep.
Okay, good. Let's see here, All right, I believe that concludes public comment. Thank you, everybody. Moving along into the agenda is, you're gonna leave?
Yep.
Was it something we said?
Take care, everybody.
I don't know who to go
Come back.
Mr. Pascarelli, have a good night.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's get ready for Gina and John, and then I think we'll probably adjourn for a recess. Okay, Gene.
I handed out tonight a flip on the youth council. I wanted to see the status of that currently. After the voucher that you paid this evening, you're gonna have a balance of approximately $164 in that account. And you still have 2 items in the budget that have not been paid for. That is, you still owe the executive Stacy money, half of her payroll, and there was $500 budgeted for the summer youth.
Okay, so how much do we owe Stacy left, and how much do we owe the?
$750 to Stacy.
$750 plus Social Security. And then the summer youth soccer is $500. You see that the bill for the school, for the gas, when Rose did the budget, it was $900 estimated, and you see that it came in at $1483. Rose looked it up, and that's the highest it's ever been, correct, Rose?
Yes. The last 4 or 5 years, it's averaged about 1,100. With taking out East Otto and then the way the bus driver was condensing the route, I was sure 900 would be enough, and it was It was like another third higher.
Another $500.
Yeah.
Almost $600.
So we estimated, when Rose did the budget, that you're gonna get back 1146 from the county. However, I don't know what the status of the paperwork on that is.
Stacy let me know today. She just got off the phone with the Bureau because she had not received any reimbursement papers. They've changed personnel again, and this is now the 5th person that she's worked with. He's told her that she has not been forgotten, and he'll be sending out the paperwork soon.
So without getting that reimbursement, there's no funds available in the youth account. I wanted to make the board aware of this.
So how long does it typically take to receive the funds from the state for?
We usually get the funds back in January or February, I believe.
And when do we pay Stacy and?
Once we got those funds, yeah. That's
So
when
we
usually
still
pay.
owe the school and Stacy money, is that correct?
You owe this,
Not the school.
it's the youth council, and that's usually out of
It's the,
Little Valley or something?
yeah, I guess they started paying the Little Valley soccer program, the money because the local one didn't ask for it.
Okay, so do we need to, we don't need to pay this right away, we have until January, right?
Yeah, we can't pay it right away, I mean, I don't know when they would use the summer youth, I assume next year, by now. So I just wanna make it aware that right now, we don't have the funds available.
Okay.
Second, John had 5 vouchers tonight that he wants to get paid from the FEMA money that we received and put that into separate savings. So if the board agrees with what John wants to do, I need a motion to transfer that dollar amount from the FEMA savings into general checking.
You're transferring the 922978.
Yep. That's what you wanted, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, carried and approved.
And that's all I had.
I like this a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
Does that go to general?
Yes.
Savings to general? Okay. General checking.
Use my color income.
That's my first thought. I'm like, geez, the cost of the.
oh my God, you're getting out of here before 8:30.
You didn't charge us for the coloring, did you?
Not yet.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we'll
will.
see it on the next one.
Is that all you have, Gene?
I'm not sure. I take
The money out of the chips for the trees. Remember we talked at a meeting or so about that?
Yeah, we took money out of chips for tree removal.
Does that need to be put back out of the tree fund?
No, because
No.
John's using chips.
You gotta have chips, your chips line's gotta be a 10-year project. Tree cutting and sidewalks is a perfect 10-year project.
Okay. I didn't know how it worked. I just-
And, I took this last bout of sidewalks out of chips, and the next pour will probably come out, and the next one I'll take out of the 18,000, what's left out of the 18,000 we don't use, we can put back into general. And then we can turn that back into general, and that'll take care of some snow tires and some other odds and ends, we're not
Right.
burning up the general budget.
Right.
And next month, we should be pretty much done with our FEMA projects, and we should have, everything should be on, I can't remember what they allocated, but we can go back and we get some wages back out of that too, out of that money, and put some of that back in for wages. And the rest of that we can get divided up and put into places where it needs to be. I mean,
Well, you
as far
put
as-
it in road reserve fund.
Yeah.
So it's reserved for roads,
Okay, well, that's a good place for it.
is what you guys did.
Because, that'll open up some good road projects for next year.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I had, unless somebody has a question.
Jean, on the balances that you sent out,
Uh-huh.
I was able to identify all the accounts except for 3 of the savings. I sent you an email about it. If you just let me know which one's which, I think they're general water and sewer savings.
Okay.
But if you just let me know which is which, then I will keep this in my office so that I have the savings account numbers for when we do these transfers.
No, John's gonna be brief tonight.
I'm halfway done.
Oh,
Did you pass that?
Oh, also, we have Mr. Brucker. John, do you mind if we? Yes, you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, you're done, you can.
All right.
8:21.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a note, we got them out at 8:21.
Okay, thanks.
Gene, you working tomorrow? Yep. Okay, I'll stop in and see you maybe for a few minutes.
Do you want Jean in regards to the, the letter I under correspondence?
Parks and trees.
No, under
County
correspondence
Oh,
from the County Treasurer.
yeah,
Do you want him for that at all?
if you can address that.
I don't know, I don't know if you'd have any questions in regards to that Jean would need to answer.
I don't, I think, I mean, we just turn it over to them and that's it, right? We just provide them the information.
Is that, I'm not sure what it even was referring to.
Did you get the email for it?
No.
Was that just sent?
I probably just sent the
This
correspondence.
is for that
Oh, I'm
property,
sorry, I don't know what you're referring to.
this is for that property out behind the old school, right?
Yes,
Well, why would that have to do with Gene?
Because they're requesting the transfer partial interest
to us,
to us.
Ownership,
right, which,
not interest in money, ownership.
ownership, right,
Right,
yes, ownership of the parcel. I don't know if that would result in any costs
right.
that Jean might need to be aware of,
Wouldn't
or
it
could
be
advise
recorded
you on.
There should be some recording fees,
Yeah.
but that should just be a minor cost.
I didn't know if you would have questions for him, so before he left and we said, oh, we should have had Jean stay for that.
Is there anything? No, I don't believe.
Okay.
If you do, just call
I can-
me.
Okay.
Oh, we will.
Well, it's 90 days.
We got 8:23.
All right,
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
thank you, Gene.
Good night, Gene.
John, we'll get to you in just a second. I forgot we have also Mr. Brecker. Mr. Brecker, if you.
I'll make this quick. This is from EMSL Testing Laboratories. It's the certified results of asbestos in the tile and the carpets from the historical building. There is no asbestos in the carpet. There's asbestos in the tile. You don't have to rip that end open, the other end is.
Oh, the other end is.
The other
Where's
side.
It's just in the
I don't see. Oh,
There, yeah.
It's a test, Dan.
it's a test.
You
You
failed.
failed.
It's,
Failed.
they charge $95 per test,
Okay.
and the mileage one way from the village hall here to the laboratory is 51 miles.
So then, and you did all this on your charge, right, on your credit card?
Right.
All right, so then, all you'll need to do is, whenever you want to, is just meet with get with Rose and fill out
Get
about.
with Rose and file a voucher.
Fill out a voucher and then it would go on the next, abstract.
Yeah.
So it'd
So
be the
then
October meeting,
what do
unless
you-
the board,
What's the mileage reimbursement?
57.
57 and a half, I believe.
57 and a half.
Cents per mile.
Standard,
Yeah, it's the current IRS.
Yeah, that's right. What is your opinion, Gary, in regards to the senior building? Do you see, I mean, how costly do you think it would be to take care of I mean, if we were to say we were gonna sell it, say we were gonna sell the building, or whatever, are we able to sell it with the asbestos issue that it is? Does it just have to be a disclaimer, or does the village still need to take care of it? And then number two, as we discussed, you said if we're encapsulating the asbestos, then we don't have to have, the Department of Labor is not involved. It's only if we're removing the asbestos.
Right.
So, I guess I'd like your professional opinion as a CEO and working with buildings and everything. Do you?
Well, if you're gonna sell the building the way it is, legally you have to post a
You have to let the buyer know.
Right.
It's part of the disclosure process.
disclosure, yeah, right. So whoever buys it is gonna know that there's an asbestos in the building. If you keep the building, does that tile run under the carpet?
I would imagine.
I believe
Yeah,
so.
assumed.
I believe so.
I thought,
Yeah, the tile that goes all the way to the bathrooms, it goes It's even on the stairwell going
Hallways,
down the basement.
bathrooms, that I didn't know about under. I didn't cut anything out of the carpet because there were, spaces around the space heaters where I could just pull up a piece of carpet.
Okay,
I guess the biggest cost would be to cover the whole floor.
What's the problem exactly with the tile? Is it,
It has asbestos in it.
well, I mean, is it damaged in any way?
Yeah,
It's damaged?
has a few cracks in it.
It's
Well, I
all-
mean, other than cracks, is it popping or coming off the floor, delaminating?
No, but if it ever did, then
It's
it'll
really
go.
not popping, and if anything does come up off the floor, it could be re-glued. The big problem with asbestos is when you tear it out of the building.
Yeah, when you
It
make it
does.
friable, maybe grind it. I mean, I worked with asbestos for a couple of years, removing it. Tile is not dangerous, as long as you don't make it friable. As long as you don't grind it, or pop it, or slam it.
Yeah, dusty.
As long as you just cover it, it's fine, just leave it.
but in just the flooring, I mean, can you think of like a rough estimate on how much it would cost to do it?
Boy, I'd hate to make, I've never did flooring.
The
I'd
village
say
owns
about
that
$1,000
building.
to $1,500 to do that.
More
Did
than
we ever
that.
discuss this?
Yeah.
What was
It's the
that?
village
That
owns
lane
it.
of flooring is right
That's way
expensive.
cheap.
I don't know what the numbers are, but
1,500?
Can you just put
I'll
laminate
see.
over? I don't,
Yep.
I'd say I'm blind when it comes to
yeah,
this.
you just
Well,
put
we
the
have
floating
to
floor
contract
over
it
it.
out.
That's the same as encapsulated.
You can't, you don't have to screw plywood down or anything before you do nothing like that.
No.
All you're doing is encapsulating it from being airborne.
See, I would put Luan down, just to get yourself a good, solid base to put whatever you're down you're gonna put. You know, Luan's cheap.
Did you handle the complaints by Dick and Tricia Musell about, I guess there was a complaint on 30 Mill Street, and then there was a complaint of wood access by sidewalk?
Yeah, the first one was taken care of.
Yeah, the access on the sidewalk was taken care of also.
Okay. And was there anything else as far as with that you've had to do, or?
Well, I got a question for John. There's a party on Leavenworth Street that has 6 acres. Most of the acreage it's on the south side of Leavenworth where it drops down the back of those houses. They wanna put a house back down in there. What about their sewage? Do they have to pay for a sludge pump to pump their sewage up to the?
Is that where the house was removed?
That's 70 Leavenworth. Right now they're remodeling the house, but they wanna put a new house down in there. They've got 6 acres.
Is that Schultz?
Schultz.
Yeah.
They would have to, there's a tank and a pump there. Evidently, it's obvious if they wanted to build below, that they would have to, well, we maintain the tanks. They maintain their service. So the line from the house to the tank is theirs. Now, if they wanna build down below, that means we gotta pull the panel box off the house. The panel box is ours. All that's ours, and it'll all have to be reinstalled in a new place and probably a new setup put in, because you can't get waste uphill to the tank or the existing tank, is I guess what I'm saying. The tank would probably have to be moved and along with the rest of the service line and everything else.
Now, when you say tank, you're talking septic tank.
Septic tank, yes.
You'd probably have a pump tank after the septic tank.
That particular place, the pump tank is in the tank.
Okay.
Fiberglass tank sits down in. It's just effluent water, gray water.
That would be their responsibility.
That would be, no, we take care of the tanks, it'd be ours. We'd have to, after we get the house set and get it works, we'd have to put it in, and we'd have to, when electricity's done, we'll have to get our panel box back on there, so on and so forth. Unless, I'm not quite sure how that does work, because when they did come through town, most people's panel boxes weren't heavy enough, strong enough to run 220 pumps. So, they got all new panel boxes with the meters, the main breaker and everything goes into there. and everything was tied back into the house.
The village paid for it?
The village was all part of the contract, yes. So if they are to move a house down the hill, I would say it's up to us to put a new tank in and extend the
Does
line up
that
the
come out of
hill.
our,
Yeah, that comes out of our pocket, I would think. I mean, any other place we've had a problem with tank or anything else, we've always bit the bullet and taken care of it. Where the homeowner's responsibility is to the tank. And from the tank out is ours.
so if they move, is it up to us to move the tank then?
I would say,
Jay?
That strikes me as odd. I'm not familiar with the difference between sewage regulations and water, but it seems to me that the same standard would apply. If it's beneath your ground, it's your fixtures. But there may be some EPA regulations related to waste and waste removal and treatment that I'm not familiar with. And I'm not familiar with many of those.
Yeah.
because when the system was put in, the village, the tanks and everything were set through the contract of the village. And all main lines were run, and each individual homeowner paid separate contractors to go from the house to the tank.
Right.
We pump the tanks, if there's something wrong with the tanks, we take care of it.
I thought the resident owned their own septic.
No. If a resident's call and say they're septic, if they're having problems with backup, I clean the tank off and pull the baffle up. If the baffle's clear, it's their issue from there to the house. If the baffle's used, most of the time it's just there's a crack in front of the baffle, you just take a bar and bust it out and it usually works. But yes, there are our tanks.
Do you know this?
I'm not sure I quite understand the issue here. Well, on the septic, you do what?
If somebody calls and says they're having problems, you know, if they got a backup, if it's overflowing their vent pipe on the village system, first thing we usually go and do is we dig the tank up, there's a baffle on the tank, where the inlet pipe comes in, you pull that up, and typically there's a cement baffle or a plastic baffle right there, and mainly soap. Soap will cake up in front of it, and a lot of times after they pump, that will not actually slide down, you take a bar and you bust it out, and it runs. If it don't run, then they've got a problem from there to the house.
So we're liable for the septic tank itself.
So, but this is if they're on the.
This is if they're on the system.
Yeah,
Oh, if they're on the system,
Yeah,
then we take it. I thought, okay, yes.
if they're on the system.
They're on the system on Lebanon.
Okay, if they're not on the system and they have septic tank, or that's their own responsibility. That's what I was, I'm like,
Yes.
since when the hell would we be liable for someone's?
No,
That
they're
makes
liable
sense.
for the ones that we,
Okay.
that are on our septic system.
Okay.
sewage.
Is the cost of putting in the septic covered by the sewage tap-in fee? If you had to guess?
I have no idea, I didn't even know there was a sewage tap-in fee.
I'd be surprised if there weren't.
Well, looks like everything else, they've never been charged for years and years and years.
Well, sewage is another issue for the water.
But we also don't have a lot of people.
Yes, I've been through it forever.
That's
We
another,
go service
that's
and
another
we charge,
day.
we service and we don't charge.
Yeah.
We go fix
The
the
sewer
service.
law needs to be updated as well, but.
All right,
the
so-
other one first.
Is that a new house that's got a permit and it's being built and all that, I assume? then?
No, it's not being built now, this is in the planning stages all,
Oh,
they're
okay.
asking me these questions.
Okay,
Does that have to be on the architect's plan? Or do they just call you
Call
when
and-
they put the foundation in
Put
and,
the foundation in, see what they're
Discuss
on
with-
it and go from there.
okay. Alright, is that what the sewer system for this village is? Everybody has a septic tank? And the liquid is pumped out of the tank?
no, not everybody has septic, either,
North Franklin doesn't have
Everybody has septic,
sewage.
but not everybody's on sewer.
yeah.
Everybody pays a sewer tax, though.
Yes, they do.
Because that was set up to supply the businesses and supply the school.
And uptown, primarily.
and
That's
stuff,
a
so
60-hour
it's a very limited system, which John is very familiar with, and he can tell you where it runs exactly. But I mean, like, I'm on South Franklin, it runs by my house, but I'm not on it. I don't
Basically like
septic
your
system.
house.
It's not up over there at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Berger?
That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Gary? Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
All right.
Gary.
On the
Appreciate your
senior building, I did have a resident tell me that they had heard there was a special paint you could paint over linoleum to seal in asbestos.
Really?
Really? Oh, you got something.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
There is, but you don't wanna use it there.
Okay,
Well,
just,
Oh, there is.
just relaying
It's
information.
expensive?
You basically put it, it's very expensive, it's not really designed for walking on. Basically, you
Oh,
put it,
for-
you
on a
spray it
wall.
while you're working.
I know they have
Um,
epoxy paints that are thick, that are durable, but I don't know if that's allowable to be painted over asbestos.
I think the floor or,
It's the best and
yeah, it's
easiest
gonna
way.
be cheap.
A floor is gonna have a lot of traffic on it.
Yeah,
So-
but that flooring's good.
Yeah,
It's very
That's-
durable, and when I say 1,500, I'm saying max, I don't know what, I
if
don't
you
know
have
what square
a
footage.
contractor do it, it's got a lifetime guarantee depending on the product.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's relatively
That's the best way to go.
Thanks, sir.
All right. thank
John,
you.
you're up.
Good.
What do you got?
Well, the work is just about done in Leavenworth, the FEMA part of it, okay. I looked through the road for Kelly Summit, kinda walked around there, got a good idea on that, where we should go. Of course, we can't do nothing up there till October.
Did you say Kelly Summit Road?
Yes, the driveway to Kelly Summit.
To take down the trees and all of that?
Yeah.
That's for phase one
Yes.
of the water project.
Back to this water service business.
Yeah.
Ladies want, as I told her, Morgan, I have an answer for her tomorrow, is, I think the bottom line issue is they don't have the money to pay a contractor to dig and fix a service line.
Okay, so are
Is
they,
it okay if they dig and fix their own service line?
I don't see why they couldn't. I mean, it's their property,
Yeah.
Totally way to style.
Okay.
but I would say they
No.
would need to ask us to turn it off.
Oh, yeah, they'll ask us to turn on and off. As far as turning on and off, we can waiver the right to have to go through all the comps questions to turn it on and back off because it is a water leak. It's not like we're terminating service or anything, right?
Right.
Okay.
So we're waiving the fee?
Only if they're turning it off and on multiple times in order to test the service. That's what-
Okay.
Now,
So, 1 second, so Jay, that, would it be,
Because they're not actually activating the service until they're done and satisfied with the work.
right,
So I would just charge them the once, when it's actually done
You
and,
already have service, right?
okay.
the water's already on. We're
Yeah.
turning them off so they can do the work. So I can't see where it's really right for us to charge them to turn it back on.
Well, we say heckler.
Right,
just
I don't
don't
think
feel
they
it's
should
right.
be charged.
I don't think we should be.
They're fixing a problem, why would we charge them?
Okay.
hold on,
If the law specifies that you have to charge them to turn it off and on, you have to do it.
you have to.
That's for even for work though?
I
I don't remember that being put in.
don't know.
Well, see, I've read that.
I thought that was
I've
what
read that
they do to
repair
buildings.
business several times.
If we had to shut
If we had to shut you, yeah, if we had to shut you off because you didn't pay the bill. we
Oh,
turn
yeah,
it off,
absolutely. There's
And
lots
then
of
we come
things
back, there's a reconnection fee.
Oh,
for
tons of
that.
those, yeah.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah, if you're
regards
trying to fix the problem so you're not wasting water, that just seems like a,
It's counterproductive, I
'cause I
agree.
can tell you right now, I'd just rather pay the overage. You're gonna charge me to fix it.
Yeah, but we don't want the overages because it ain't going through the meter.
Exactly. It's not my problem.
John?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it'd be cheaper for the resident to hire a contractor to dig that up themselves?
The lady stated to me they don't have the money to fix it.
They got a shovel.
If
They're
we
going
went
to
in,
fix it themselves.
then let, I mean,
But I guess what I'm saying is, if she wants me to come do it, and I build it for what we do,
yeah,
she hasn't got the money. Where do you wanna stop and go with this, I guess is what I'm asking you.
well, then wouldn't we shut the water off if she's not gonna pay for the service?
I don't know, she was wondering, cause I don't know, I guess I'm asking you for answers. If I go ahead and fix it.
Was she like a payment plan? Like a 6-month payment
I
plan?
don't know, she just said they didn't have the money to pay a contractor to do it.
well, we could do it cheaper than a contract.
We can do it cheaper than a contract.
I mean, I
Or
would
does
think,
she have the money to pay us? And what I'm getting down to is, this is fine, this is one time, okay, it's gonna be maybe $125, bite the bullet, we want our water away.
no, you can't
What
do
if,
that.
what if we do that 10 times? Now we're talking 1,000.
Right.
What if we do it 20 times? Now we're talking $2,000. Where do we
So let's
we
follow
get
the
paid
law.
up front? Or do we get paid when we're done, or do we tag it onto the
It
water
should be
bill?
tacked onto their bill, if I remember
So
correctly.
when we're talking about the maintenance fee, that's affordable for everybody.
Well, I agree with that 100%. I think that's a very good idea.
Gentlemen, your interpretation of what the way it should be is correct. The water law on page 35 says, When there is no delinquent bill, water will be turned off and on without charge for consumers who wish to discontinue or renew. And that seems very reasonable.
So, but in regards to utilizing you guys to fix it, that's absolutely fine. I would say if she can't pay it right up front, then I would say that a payment plan would be in order.
Alright, and so when she says,
We can't do that, I don't
But
think.
there are
Isn't
There
there-
are penalties
Jay,
every month
Is there anything in
now.
the water law for that?
We're not a lending institution, we can't.
Is there
do
anything in
that.
the
Not
water
that
law
we're
for the
comfortable with.
village fixing that?
Well, I think.
Just they
it would
owe the
help though with
village. The
revenue
law
if
says,
we
fix your line, but you
had a
owe us.
$5 service
It doesn't
fee.
get into how it's paid or whether.
Because of what it would
payments
cost
are
for like
anything
roads
like
or
that.
$10 fee or whatever the case may be, but have a payment plan so that people pay monthly instead of it being $250 every 3 months. You know, they're paying maybe $75 or something. It's easier to pay monthly.
But
than it
there is
is
an interest,
But,
there's a penalty every month on what's not paid.
There's the time you're taking away from Rose's job to handle it, because what you do for one, you're gonna do for everybody else, and it just
Well,
creates a.
quite honestly, I think we should honestly look in the hole as a village. Like Mr. Gosser said, we gotta do for people. And if you look at our past shut-off list, it's the same ones time and time and time again.
Starting monthly. I mean, if we charge them a flat rate to have a monthly, payment plan,
If we
and
can,
then if they're, and say we could, I mean, I don't see where that's wrong to create that.
why not offer up something to make, I mean, I realize we're taking time away from
You
everybody
can
all
do
the
this
way
extra
around.
administration.
I mean, the
Yeah.
biggest pain in the rear is gonna be is for the clerk, essentially.
Yes.
Well,
I wanna help the
But
thing,
yeah,
I don't know, I mean, I'd like to help you, I don't think legally we can, I don't think that's what.
Well,
I
I'm talking about as a whole, is we're gonna look, you know, and when this water law started, I bestowed it upon the ones before. When you're doing this water law, why can't we look at different payment options for people? Because some people might be able to come up with $50 a month, but they can't come up with that $200 in a quarter, you know?
I don't think it's anything you can integrate into the law. I think it's just something that,
Jay, what is it that, I mean, is there anything that confines the village from having a payment agreement or a
Well, I
payment
thought that
option
was-
for those that are struggling financially to do so?
it's up to the.
I thought that was the
board or
part
clerk's
in
discretion.
the village, when if you had a problem paying your bill, you came to the village with a written letter. The village looked at it, and they would set up a payment arrangement for you. Am I
Right.
wrong, Rose?
I
It's a
believe the
case-by-case
shut-off notice
basis.
says that, a payment arrangement could be made if application to the appropriate agencies is made.
See?
So what we're looking at is
That is,
hardship
that's what we've been
Right.
using as a shut-off notice
Right.
since before I took over.
Do you have any idea how much this job would cost?
What's that over there? I'm guessing.
Jay, it seems like there should be a relief valve in here somewhere for a
Let me get
hardship
that on the
situation.
here. Why don't we just?
The village is allowed to accept payments over time, but the village is not allowed necessarily to waive any fees that were added into the
And
law.
that's what we're doing, that's what I'm saying is, and I'd love to, but what I'm saying is like the whole Jesse Bradley thing. When we gave him the discount, or actually the old board gave him the discount because of whatever reason, and it came back, somebody found, I think Jay found it, technically you couldn't do it because you're gifting
A
the
public
water, you
property
can't
or
do it.
public
So
funds.
you set up a payment plan, but you gotta tack on the penalties and all this, are you really doing anything for this one?
Well, yeah, I agree, yes, that's the question I'm asking. I mean, I don't,
I'd love to, but I just don't
well,
think
what,
we
I
can.
guess what I'm telling you is if I go do it, I'll go over and talk to her tomorrow and say, you can do it yourself, you can do the work yourself, you tell me you wanna do it, I'll shut it off, you know, turn it back on, do it, there's no fee there. If you want me to fix it, I'm guessing $100 will take care of it. That's a round up guess, I know what the line is, it's old, it's galvanized, and it's, you know, whatever.
Well, I hate to throw you on the bus here, but you know how to fix it.
I
You
do.
do have time on your weekends.
The law does actually
You work
allow for
something out
payment
with it.
plans.
Yeah, I don't, you know, but I guess what I'm saying is, if she wants me to fix it, does the bill go out separate, does it get tacked onto her water bill, so I can tell her what she can expect?
I think
My
it-
first guess would be a separate invoice would be issued for
What?
those repairs.
Would it come on the, with
It
the?
wouldn't be part of her water bill, it would
Okay,
be a
because-
separate bill.
So basically what I'm saying is, this woman say, okay, I'll do it now, but when's my bill gonna come? Well, most likely the bill will be addressed at the end of the month, like everybody else would do it, so her bill will become the first of the month, they might be able to wait for her to get it paid.
There you go.
That's all I'm asking, just, you know.
Actually, the water law that was just passed does allow for payment arrangements. It says, if a delinquent account holder is unable to pay the balance, the village shall, not may, actually is required to offer reasonable installment payment agreement plan for people who've not previously defaulted. And it must be made in addition to the amount due on their regular monthly bills, and they can be denied if they've defaulted on prior agreements. So, yeah, payment plan is allowable under the law.
Says nothing about the additional penalties?
That's after all, but it's in the same section as penalties and fees, and it's the third paragraph. So it doesn't discuss the interaction as to whether or not you still start getting all of those penalties and fees. And because it's vague, it would be up to the interpretation of the legislative body or whoever's enforcing it to decide.
This is gonna be a separate.
But that would have to be done uniformly.
I would like to set a
My-
payment plan on my water bill.
Me
when it's
too.
late.
My first,
A month later?
my first thought was that it would be a separate invoice, that it would be just a village
Okay.
invoice.
That's what I need to know. That's
And-
all.
He would tell me how much parts were, we bill parts, actual cash, actual cost,
Yeah.
and then the labor is,
How many an hour?
he told me,
60 an hour according to the water thing it said, in the very back of the book,
oh, okay.
it's the last
Is
page.
it rates on it? Well, I just have the law itself, I don't know if I have the rates and fees.
All right, so, but say though she becomes delinquent on it and doesn't pay,
Well, that's what that.
so then should it be tied, are we able to
I
attach
don't
that to
know
our
that-
water?
If it's a s-
Put it on the water bill, then you could manage the taxes.
Oh,
It's a
Because say if it
invoice.
doesn't get paid, then they can't be levied and we're not gonna go after
Okay,
them.
so I need to figure out how to add that as a charge on the water billing.
Yes, because just saying if someone doesn't pay it and we do that service, I mean, then we can at least, that can go as a levy. So, John, notify her though, then that will be included in her water bill, because
Do we have
Yeah,
to make
I
a
have
motion
template that I
to
use
do it
for
that way?
invoices.
I don't believe so, that's just how it will be billed according to this water. Say somebody, we do a job and somebody comes delinquent, we have no enforceable action.
Right, I understand it, but it's not in the law, so I'm wondering, do we have to add that to the law?
The payment arrangements are in the law.
No, the putting it on their bill. Adding it to their
It
bill.
specifies that you owe it, it doesn't say how you owe it.
Right.
And it doesn't say water bills are only for the water charges. At least I don't think it says that, but let me read and make sure I'm not talking out of my butt.
I would say that it should be
I don't know,
attached to
that's
the
what I'm
water
asking.
bill. We don't need to make a motion on that, correct, Jed?
That's regular operation of the water department. No, you don't have to make a motion to let them do their job.
No, I mean the billing of it.
Oh, to decide which way it gets billed? Give me a minute to read the law and see if it has something to say on the matter.
Okay. All right, what else do you have, John?
I want to put it out for a bid on the sidewalk club.
Okay. Is that the one that
That's-
T-Rex?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at. There's, I'll double check it with Gene tomorrow.
Think you have 30,000 allocated for,
There's $19,000 for tracks for the sidewalk plow, there's $14,000 allocated for the backhoe. And there should be the valve box locator, I believe I can get for 800, so it'd be another 400 there. And there was one other spot I see something, I think we might.
I'm sorry, John, 400 for the what?
Valve box locator, there's 1,300 budgeted, but I believe the price I got was 800, so it'd be another 400 there.
Okay,
And I believe we can probably scrape a little bit out of water and sewer too.
okay, so we're at what, 35?
Yes, I believe it was under that, I put the date for my price, I called the guy, he needed to be back in time.
Is that all we're gonna be using it for, John, is the sidewalk plow, or can we use other?
Yeah, we'll be using further stuff. I have no intention of getting rid of the Bobcat. Because I'm not buying the machine, I'm not buying it plumb for nothing, it's just strictly, I'm gonna put a V-plow on it, we're gonna plow the sidewalks, it's a small machine, 35 horse, 4 foot wide. You know, it'll do what we gotta do, and when things get frozen, we can bring the Bobcat out and blower, we can blow things out, widen things out with that. You know, in the afternoon, I can send both machines out, keep things going, whatever, however. Summertime, load it on the trailer, we got some, you know, some yard work, some topsoil work to do, it's, you know, instead of making a mess all over his yard with the backhoe, we can take that. We got a little work to do with the spring lots, that can go.
I just didn't know, I know like, one of the other, was a Salamanca, their machine, they've got a mower attachment for it, they got all kinds of attachments for it.
I've looked, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
So
it's-
how much is this T-Rex?
I think it was right around 31 or 32, if I
So it's
remember.
below
correctly.
budget then.
Below budget, but yes, Greg has gone over and looked at it. It's small, you know, but we've got it. It should keep the mess down to a minimal.
So you're gonna be putting a bid in it?
I will write up a bid tomorrow, and I will have Rose email it to all you guys. And if you're okay, I'll get it out and about.
Well, if it meets within the budget, do we need to pass a motion for it?
Yeah.
Cause it's about the procurement law.
Yeah, do you have to pass, it has to,
Alright, so
you're saying 3,000 or 30,000?
30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
You might have to go through a special procurement process with that. Anything over 5,000, there's a process you have to follow.
Right, for, well, to buy, not to contract out.
You putting a bid in to pop, for us.
I don't know if you have to accept bids for that, for the equipment or not.
No, they do though, don't they? Or do we just go out and buy it?
No, usually when we
There's a dollar amount in the procurement policy, I just don't know if I have the procurement policy.
I believe it's over 10, isn't it?
But either way, it's definitely over whatever the limit is gonna be.
Right, I mean, there's no hearing or anything to spend the money on,
no,
because it's planned for budgeting with the DPW.
I don't have the procurement policy on me, I'm sorry.
I don't have a copy of that in my file currently, so I don't.
I
know
can
if
check,
there's-
when John brings me the information, I can let him know what the procurement policy says. We can
As
go
far as
from
my
there.
You
understanding.
might have to get quotes from 3 places for the equipment.
yes, usually 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's-
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That being said, the board would, I don't know if they have to, but may authorize you to spend up to some amount as we've done with previous
I
purchases.
think it's, what, is it 3,000? So he has a ability to hit him, or is it 500?
500,
500.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
but he might need to advertise the bid, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, follow up with us tomorrow and let us know.
Okay.
I mean, you're not gonna be buying it until,
Well, I'll get the bids out, put the bids in before, you know, you guys have a work session between now and then?
no, we're not having a work session this
Okay.
month. That
So it'll
meeting
be
is
next
canceled.
month?
Be beginning of next month, yeah.
Yes.
The regular session.
We're not having any time to
We
work.
got one meeting this month with you gentlemen?
That's right.
That's nice.
Party dance, party dance.
I thought I misread that.
We got a water meeting, we're gonna meet with, I think, Badgers, with, Haley Nells, Wednesday at 9 o'clock,
Yep.
and see what Badgers has to offer, go from there on that. The only other thing I wanna do is I gotta run a copper line from Coble Well out past the fence to the driveway. So the propane for the heater down there, they can just back in and fill it on a regular, everyday basis, and I gotta chase down to the backhoe, carry that bomb around for them to fill it. That's okay, I haven't got the price on the copper yet. I was told kind of copper to get what to do, and they would come in, there would be a fee for them to reset things up.
How much is it gonna be? And again, that falls underneath the procurement policy.
If the whole project is $600 or $700, I'll be really amazed. I mean, it's their tank, I'm putting the line in for them to hook their tank back up, but see, right now, I gotta go down the back, I'll hook it from the building, pick it up, carry it to the other side of the bridge, and set it down, and that's by no means, I don't think FEMA, or not FEMA, but, yeah, you know them guys there.
Yeah. Rose,
They would not like seeing a squawk drive around with a propane tank swinging off the back of one.
for October's work session, can you include the procurement policy? That, we need to discuss that with John, and, I mean, it's what,
So how we
since
feel, right?
1992?
Copy it for him?
No, this is-
Yeah, I believe it's from 92, and we did an amendment to it, last year? Last,
2010,
2013 or 14, I believe we did an amendment to it.
But 600.
Just to
With
review.
the shared,
Honestly,
because of the
that's
shared,
your question.
option to purchase on,
But again, you guys just copy.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's
There's no
bid
plastic
you could
tube
jump
or-
onto.
basically
Can you
what
just
that-
put it on there for us to
How long are you
review?
gonna be here for?
I think everybody needs to understand the procurement policy.
So not at the 12th, but the other one?
The work session, yeah.
Okay.
But if you can at least let us know what we need to do with John on this
Oh,
one,
no, no. Great idea.
For the T-Rex.
Well,
You
that's
know, the
true.
right person went by and
And it's
they,
their service.
even Holland Propane was like, well.
Alright, Jeff, what else you got?
10 what?
Almost done.
One other thing I got, there's a guy bought some land on Leavenworth.
About what?
We bought land on Leavenworth,
Yeah,
between Mike Weissens and the Stevens residence. He wants tube put in the ditch. He wants 30 feet of 12-inch tube put in, and he's gonna restore the driveway that was actually physically there. And he bought it for timber. He said there's not no timber there now, but he's figuring, he's a logger and he buys timber, and he figures maybe his kids will get some timber out eventually. But he wants access to the land now. And I dug around in all our paperwork, and I talked to Denny and I talked to Jason, and Denny, years ago, it was the people paid for the tube, we put it in. Jason said that when he was approached about doing it, he said he couldn't find nothing for the village. He said, ask the town what they do. For the town, you pay for the tube and you pay for the gravel. And we install it in from there on, it's their responsibility.
Jay, what do you say?
Just
Or
drainage
what's the legal?
Drainage or water?
Drainage.
The tube underneath the driveway.
Yes, tube underneath the driveway.
Whose responsibility would that be? Ours or
Well, you want to prevent flooding. There might be some public responsibility for preventing flooding.
would they just have
Is this in the right of way?
Yeah.
Probably would be village responsibility
I would think.
Would-
for some portion of it.
do they have to pay any of the costs or
Tube and gravel, we just supply
the labor?
Well, basically, yeah, they buy the tube,
Move it.
you know, they can buy the tube from us and put the gravel on it, and we're out of it.
Do you see that as an issue legally, or is that?
That seems reasonable. I can't give you a guarantee on that. If you want, I can spend some time researching it, but that seems,
If it's
I mean, we're looking,
normally
see
done.
30 feet times,
Does anybody have an issue on that?
520 a foot, I
They
think,
just
for
pay for
12
the
inch.
cost and we just do
Yeah,
it?
no,
Oh, $150, you're looking maybe $300 all said and done.
So go ahead and let him know that then he pays for the gravel and the tube and
Okay,
we'll do the work.
very good.
Is that it?
Does me.
Alright, I'll make the motion and then we,
I just wanted to note, we had the billing question. The law says that bills for services furnished will be based on the scheduled rates and fees, so somebody going to put in a line or something. And it also later on says, when you're talking about bills for regular bills, bills are due and payable at the due date specified on the rules of regs. So it's vague as to whether or not you have to put it on the water bill versus if you are forced to put it on a separate invoice. You could put it on the same bill.
I would say in
Sorry.
regards of now
Yeah,
that
just
you
have
would.
If you want, you could put it on the water bill
Yeah.
So she gets it.
Yeah.
Alright,
for that $100 or whatever it's gonna be to have.
I'll second his
Do you want to
motion.
keep this in your meetings?
Rose?
I'm sorry.
All in
I'm
favor?
making, yeah, hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, that's an extra.
Make the motion, I'm making the motion that we're gonna adjourn for recess. Work second it,
And
and it's
work second,
8:59.
She finally caught what's going on.
8:59.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, we're adjourning for recess, are you?
Alright. Oh, man,
Come on, Jay.
I gotta say that, this is